At Star Wars European Vacation this year, Lucasfilm announced 3 new films coming soon to the Star Wars universe. 3 new Star Wars movies. That's right, not a trilogy, 3 standalone films. Everyone's talking about them, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about them too. But first, I want to talk about something Kathleen Kennedy mentioned recently. Apparently, the iconic opening crawls are coming back to Star Wars films. That's right, the crawl. See, before it was only used for opening the main saga films, whereas spin-off films like Rogue One, Solo, and Ewok Adventure, they were sort of left to do their own thing, but not anymore. Now, all Star Wars movies are starting with the crawl. Now, I would personally prefer for these upcoming spin-off movies to start in their own unique way to better establish a difference in tone and overall diversify Star Wars movies, in general. But on the other hand, the studio is done with the Skywalker saga, and they want these new films to feel like major theatrical events. Big Star Wars movies. And so, I get it. But hey, let's talk about the movies. First up, it was announced that Girl Interrupted director James Mangold will be making a film set 25,000 years before A New Hope. That's 25,003 years before the Battle for Endor, for all you Noah nerds out there, and will supposedly be a, quote, biblical epic telling the story of the very first Jedi. Now, I really like the sound of this one, primarily just because it's so far removed from everything that it has to be new, and new is always interesting. Now, one thing does occur to me, though. Frank Oz once said that Yoda speaks the way he does because that's the way the original Jedi spoke. And if this movie is about the original Jedi, then does that mean everyone's going to talk like Yoda? Would that work? I guess just wait and see, we'll have to. Next is a film from the talented Mr. Filoni that takes place in the New Republic era and is supposed to be an epic crossover between all of these Disney Plus series that Filoni oversees. So Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Fantastic Beasts, it's gonna be huge.
Like a benza.
Now what I'm guessing, and I'm sure other people will probably make this assumption as well, is that this movie is going to be an adaptation of Heir to the Empire, which is a popular book in the 90s and the first installment of what's known as the Thrawn trilogy. Now, since Disney's acquisition, the books have been stricken from the canon, but Filoni has increasingly incorporated elements from them here and there, including Thrawn himself. Of course, the books do focus on Luke, Han, and Leia, etc., and so if this theory is true, then I guess they would have to replace them with characters like Grogu and Amy Sedaris. I don't know. I've never actually read the books, to be honest. They look dense.
Like a benza.
Last but definitely not least is the movie that I'm probably most excited about. Charmin Obey-Chinoy is making a Rey movie. That's right, a Rey movie, set 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker, or 47 years after Battle for Endor, and will supposedly focus on the re-establishment of the Jedi Order. Now, my main beef with the sequel trilogy as a whole is that the state of the galaxy at the end of Rise of Skywalker is the exact same as at the end of Return of the Jedi. They both end with a small band of rebels who are now tasked with picking up the pieces in the aftermath of a massive battle against this oppressive regime. 3 movies later, and we're right back to where we started. The prequels deal with the fall of the Republic and the Jedi Order. The original trilogy deals with the fall of the Empire and the re-establishment of the Republic. The sequel trilogy, in my opinion, should have been about the re-establishment of the Jedi Order. That's what this movie is about, so obviously, I'm excited. That, and I really love Rey. Oh, and Finn. I love Finn. In fact, here's my pitch. Everyone is so sick of Force users tearing the galaxy apart that the Jedi are outlawed. They're hunted. A scruffy and battle-worn Jedi Master, Finn, is captured by Jedi hunters right after he manages to send a distress call to his old friend and teacher, Rey Skywalker. Rey enlists the help of your standard ragtag group of misfits who eventually rescue Finn and become the first council of the new Jedi Order. Gah, I'm so glad the crawl is back.